Hey everyone, it's Wade Franson back with another sneak peek. It's Valentine's week this coming week, and this is episode 222 airing Tuesday night, February 17th at 8 p.m. I have, for Valentine's week, a lovely lady in the studio, Marlena Graves, who has a PhD and has done doctoral research on culture, immigration, race, and poverty. She draws on a rich mix of pastoral and academic experience and weaves storytelling into timeless wisdom with her book, The Way Up is Down. Welcome to the studio, Marlena.
Thank you. It's so good to be here, Wade.
Well, we've been working on getting this show recorded and prepared here for some time. And I'm really excited because today in America, we have this polarized culture of sides blaming each other. And a lot of it is over the issues that you address, but you address them in a unique way given your education and experience. Can you unpack that for us in a soundbite? I know that's just to sort of tease people into why they need to come and listen to the whole story.
Well, the question's perfect because I'm writing about currently and thinking about the not just Zulu, but Southern African concept of Ubuntu, which is summarized, I am because we are. And the fact that everything is interrelated. When Martin Luther King Jr. gave his commencement speech at Oberlin College in 1965, he said something similar, and I'm pretty sure he knew of that concept. And I think, and I'm only speaking from the United States because that's my experience, including Puerto Rico, but there are a lot of people in the United States, a lot of Christians, especially white evangelical Christians, that do not understand that we're all interrelated and that my well-being is tied to yours and everyone else's. It's weird that people think, to me, it's weird that they think you have to be just like them and think like them and have the same kind of life as them for them to seek your flourishing. It doesn't make sense. And to me, it's, I would say, godless, not divine. And so those subjects about poverty and immigration and basically everything that's blown up here in American culture, as you alluded to, those are really points where you can see that, where oftentimes I think people, not everyone, but there's a lot of people that if they don't know someone in a particular situation, they feel like they can somehow opt out of loving them. And, you know, as a Christian, Jesus did not say, pick which neighbor you want to love. Jesus said, love all of your neighbors without exception, that everyone should flourish without exception, no matter what they believe or who they are. And so I think right now in the United States is we are seeing the fruit of bad theology and Christian practice that I don't believe is the way of Jesus. And the gap is that people don't understand that their neighbors include people they might consider their enemies, as Jesus taught in Matthew 5 on the Sermon on the Mount, and people who are not like them. We cannot have selective compassion.
Well, so well said. And, it's kind of the applying of labels to people as an excuse to somehow not do what Jesus told us to do. I love that you bring in the Ubuntu word. I want to share that I just interviewed earlier today for a different show, a Greek scientist working on medical bioethics at Harvard. And we talked about Socrates and Plato, and I shared with him, Plato has this term about man, which is often translated that man is a political animal, which, obviously raises all the negativity, but a better translation would be man is a social creature, right? So depending on whether you think man is a political animal or a social creature, Plato was trying to get at the fact of what you're saying is that we are all one and we need each other, and we can learn to practice these divine teachings in community, right? And that community, to your point, includes people outside our little tiny traditional tribal community. So how do you reach people to unpack that and help them see that their sort of narrow-mindedness
Mhm.
needs to be expanded?
Yeah, I think, as you know, I think relationships important, because, as you said earlier, labels, people will just dismiss me for saying, in the United States at least, for saying this or so, whatever my language. If I don't speak the language of that tribe or the buzzword, they could tell who's in and who's out. And so, there are people that, and because of algorithms on social media, that never hear what I say or read my stuff. But I continue to keep reaching out to people that are different than me. I try not to isolate myself um, in situations where I'm around people that think exactly as I do politically or religiously, as, maybe people that are Christians or not Christians, because I know there's goodness in all sorts of different kinds of people. And I try to, and I think this is what Jesus did, and it can be very hard, especially if someone is acting as your enemy, like is abusing you or hurting you. I don't want anyone to put themselves in an abusive situation, but I keep trying to reach out and keep myself open to people, because I just read something last night that bothered me about one kind of political group. There are people saying, "Oh, you finally came around to see what we've been saying forever, too little, too late." And I'm of the mentality, yes, I would have wished that someone would have came around earlier to seeing what I believe to be the truth. But I kind of think of, well, better late than never, because there's some hope. So I try to hold out hope in myself when if I have a visceral reaction to someone or their behavior because I feel like they're hurting someone else. Usually it's because they're hurting or oppressing someone else. That's when I get really upset. I'm like, I try to remember that they are a human being, and there's probably lots of goodness that I don't see. And I also remember that I wasn't where I am now. I wasn't there 20 years ago. There needs to be room for growth. And I feel like in our current, at least the social media culture, if you don't got it right now, then you're going to get run over by whatever side you're at. There's no room for nuance or for people going on a journey. And so I try to remind myself of that frequently so that I can keep reaching out to people. And I think the more that people can know me personally, which is hard, right? But if people can know me personally, I think they'll see that, I'm not their enemy, that I do want them to flourish too.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you brought up too little, too late, because why not say, thanks for taking a step in my direction, let's talk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that I think you have a good point of view, but I mean, I do think you have the right point of view, but I think some people are like, it's your fault that we're in this situation. You were so stupid and closed-minded. I can't forgive you, or I can't deal with you, so you deserve all the bad consequences. But to return back to Ubuntu, my well-being is tied to the well-being of those people that aren't necessarily like me. And again, I'm not saying to put ourselves in physical or emotional or spiritual danger. I'm, within bounds, but we are to keep, I don't know, for lack of a better word in politics, trying to work across the aisle or across the denomination or religion to keep seeing the humanity in people, and maybe be willing to say, there's some things that I don't understand. I don't understand, but I'm still going to seek your flourishing.
Amen to that. So there you have a sneak peek into what we will be talking about this coming Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central, with Marlena Graves on Created in the Image of God on February 17th. We'll see you there.